Good morning, Year 2. It is Wednesday and this is the English lesson for today's main and challenge activities. We are starting off with our handwriting. We're doing the second part of lesson 6 today if you want to use the worksheets in the handwriting section. If not, don't forget you need a whiteboard and pen or paper and a nice sharp pencil. And today we are carrying on looking at the first join. When we join any of these letters to any of these letters, and we note our joining S. So it's where we join it to any of those medium-sized letters that haven't got a tall tail sticking up. It doesn't matter if they've got a low tail sticking down because they join in the same place. And today we're going to have a go at joining onto an S, which can be a little bit trickier. It doesn't always feel quite so smooth when you start doing it, so it is worth practicing this carefully. So I'm going to get my nice sharp pencil, and I've got some words. If you're doing the sheet, you can trace each word, and then I reckon you could write it another 3 times. If you're writing on a piece of paper or on a whiteboard, can you write each of these words out 4 times? We have got pans, then we've got lids. And remember, you need to write the whole word and then go back and dot the I. And then we've got names. Keeping our letters really neat inside those lines. Let's do one more of each word. Pans, lids, and names. Over to you. Okay, hopefully you've written each word 4 times now. Well done. And we are ready to go on to the main part of our lesson. Now, if you remember, we started this yesterday. We are writing our traditional tale of Why Elephant Has a Trunk. And I think we do need to be like Determinator this week, because I think it can be quite tricky doing the same job over several days, and it can be tempting to rush through. But I would say another part of Determinator's job is to spend the right amount of time on each part. So just to remind you, these are the things I am looking for in your writing to make it really interesting for your reader. Joining sentences with that, if, when and because. Starting sentences with adverbs like finally, slowly, carefully, eventually, suddenly. Using and est suffixes for adjectives. His nose was long, it got longer, it got to be the longest nose. The animals pulled hard, they pulled harder, then they pulled their hardest. Elephant was smelly, then he got smellier, then he was the smelliest animal of all those and est adjectives. Don't forget the spelling rules. If it ends in a Y, you change it to an I before you add est. If it's got a vowel followed by a single letter, you have to double it before you add est. And we've got the challenge of starting our sentences with if, when and because. Now yesterday, let's look actually at this part. Yesterday you wrote your introduction and you started that long part, the build-up. Today, for the main activity, I'd like you to finish the build-up part of your story and write the problem part of your story today, when crocodile bites elephant's nose. And I'm going to talk about that part in a minute. If you are aiming to do the challenge, you want to be finished earlier so that you have a chance to write your blurb to go on the back of the book. So today, not only do I want you to write the problem, but your challenge part is to get on to writing the resolution, how the problem is solved. That's only if you're doing the challenge. So let's think about, I'm going to imagine that you've finished your build-up. If you haven't, that's your first job. You might want to go and finish that and then come back to this part of the video to think about the problem. Because the problem is that elephant's nose gets bitten by croc. And we could do that very, very quickly, couldn't we? We could just write in our books, elephant not elephant, that's because I didn't do think it, say it, write it, read it. So let's stop and think. What happens? Elephant doesn't bite Croc's nose, Croc bites elephant's nose. So there's my sentence. Croc bit, because we're going to keep it in the past tense. Croc bit elephant's nose. Croc bit elephant's nose. There we go, I'm done. I can go on to my resolution. Do you think that's enough writing? I don't think that's enough writing. I would like to see, for the problem part of your story, a paragraph. That means a group of sentences. I would like you to write at least 3 sentences, up to 5. So let's get rid of that sentence and let's think again. Also, Croc bit elephant's nose isn't using any of these things. It's not using any of our adjectives, it's not using any of our adverbs, it's not using any of our conjunctions. So we can add some more detail with these things. Maybe not these in this part, but definitely some of these and some of these. So I'm going to start my sentence again with suddenly. And I'm not even going to tell my reader yet what's happening, because I want them to read my story and think, what's going on? So we've got elephant asleep by the lake. I'm going to say suddenly something happened. What could happen first that would be a clue something was about to go wrong? I know, there was a noise. What sort of a noise would there be? Oh, a loud snap. Suddenly, there's my adverb, suddenly there was a loud snap. Now, when someone's reading my story, they're going to think, oh no, what's happened? And they won't know yet. Suddenly, there was a loud snap. Suddenly, there was a loud, and I'm going to write it in capital letters to show that it was loud. So we don't join capital letters. And I'm going to use an exclamation mark. Suddenly there was a loud snap. I'm happy with that, except my T doesn't have a clear enough cross. There we go. Suddenly, comma, there was a loud snap. Now, hopefully, the people reading my story are going to think, what's happening? And I'm still not going to tell them. What do you think elephant would do when crocodile snapped his mouth shut on his nose? Yeah, elephant screamed. Oh, I could use an adverb. Elephant screamed loudly. No, I'm going to make it even better. Elephant screamed the loudest he had ever screamed. Lovely. Elephant screamed the loudest he had ever screamed. Now I'm tempted to put an exclamation mark on that, but this is my bad habit that I do exclamation marks everywhere. So my next sentence is going to be, Croc had bitten his nose. I'm going to save an exclamation mark for there, and I'm just going to put a full stop there. So while I write that, it's your turn to go and write finish your build-up, write your problem, and then we will look at writing the end part of our story, the resolution and the final ending tomorrow. If you're doing the challenge, don't forget you can go on to the resolution today. Good luck again, everybody. We're loving seeing your stories in.